everybody, Tara Thomas Getman. We're inside Water Works, that familiar building in downtown Waterloo, across from the post office where some of you may drive up from time to time to pay your water bill. Tell us your name, your title, and what we're going to do today here with you.
Okay, my name is Rick Wilberding. I'm the Assistant General Manager down here at the Waterloo Water Works. And what we need help is with the public. We're trying to identify pipeline materials for your water service line.
Now, it's a big way of saying what?
Basically, we don't want to go in basements, so we're asking your help to go down there and help us identify. It'll just be just call it in. I'll show everybody how to do a quick little test.
And which houses in Waterloo may be impacted? What are the years you're looking at?
We're looking for houses built before 1970. After 1970, they were mandated to use copper. The copper is a good product. We're trying to identify lead and galvanized lines.
And why is this an important test according to the EPA?
It deals with lead issues. Water, some waters are corrosive. They can leach out the lead. And we just want to make sure that we identify that and to who's potentially at risk.
So if I go to my basement and I don't have the better option of copper and my home was built before 1970, what are my options to correct it if there's an issue?
Basically, if there ever is an issue, you can just renew it with copper. You don't have to do anything right away. There's no health risk. It's just our new rules. You'd have to renew it and just get rid of all the galvanized line.
So you have a great setup here to give us an example of how this is done. Can you show us a demonstration for those who have a home built before 1970?
Yes, sure, certainly. This is a newer install, and these are just samples. What you need to look for, it could come up through the floor or it could come through the wall. Basically, you can take a simple magnet and try to stick to it. It doesn't stick, it won't. Now some houses, they'll actually paint their water lines in their basement. So just take an old knife you're not using for anything else and just scrape it, and it looks like a shiny penny. It's copper.
If they have a home built before 1970, where might this be located most likely in their basement?
It'll be on the wall closest to the street.
Okay.
Our water mains are in the street, so just focus on the wall facing the street.
Now, people might be panicked saying, how am I going to remember to do this? But the good news is, Rick, you and your team should be reaching out to those homeowners impacted if they don't contact you, obviously not knowing about it until today, perhaps.
Yes, we're putting together a flyer. It may go in the water bill. It just indicates what we're doing in case you see us out in the field and asking for help inside the basements.
And then for some people, they would have the piping or need an exterior check, correct? Or what's the distinction?
The exterior, from the water main to the shutoff in the grass, we can't visually see. So some of our records are an unknown. So what we're doing right now is we're going to be vacuuming down in the city parking. We'll cut a small hole in the sod, vacuum down, identify the water line, whether it's galvanized or copper. We too will use a magnet on a stick and check it that way. And when we're done, we'll put some sand in there, put the grass back on, and I'm hoping to leave no evidence we were even there.
That's so good to know. So for those of you listening, if your home was built before 1970, there's a chance one of the Waterworks crews may have to do this exterior check. How many homes are we talking about are impacted here for this testing?
Last count, we're at 2,300 unknowns. So basically, if it's an unknown, we have to find out what it is.
You're initially making some phone calls, but the postcard would also be coming out. Is it only going then to the households that are pre-1970?
I believe we're going to blanket the whole city, just in case one popped up that after 1970, maybe there was a plumber that had some leftover piping that we don't know about.
Good to know. And when it comes to doing this test, what if they're like me and think, Rick, I don't know if I'm qualified. What should we do?
Give me a call. I've called several, kind of a test run. I've made 75 phone calls. I've got probably 15 responses. And out of those 15, I had 7 corrections for our records.
That's so great. So what's the phone number to call you if somebody's home is built before 1970 and they, want more guidance?
It's 319-232-6280.
Amanda Boyd just commented, very informative. This project is a huge undertaking for all cities in Iowa. And thank you, Amanda, for bringing that up. It's not something you here in Waterworks made up, Rick. It's something coming from the federal level. Can you talk about that?
Yes, we'll get that stuff every so often, and I understand it. Fortunately, Waterloo has great water. It's a hard water, which means that puts a coating inside the pipes. So the stuff shouldn't leak out or leach out. So it's not really an issue, but we are mandated by EPA. Every city with a population greater than 50,000 all have to do the same thing.
And you have another setup to my left to show us as well. Can you give us a demonstration on the other setup
Yes.
over here? And you can explain the distinction.
Okay, now this one here, I already know it's galvanized because I put it together. They usually come straight out of the floor, or they can actually come straight in as well. Galvanized pipe has threads. It's usually straight and it's usually silver, and a magnet sticks very tight to it.
And if I have that pipe in my home, I might want to consider switching to copper down the road.
Yeah, they could go on they could last many years. If there's no problem, don't mess with it.
Oh, okay.
But if you develop a leak or have an issue, you have to bring it up to compliance, which is copper.
Okay, and that would be in all the construction, most of the construction post 1970.
Yes.
Copper was being implemented.
Correct.
So how many homes do you anticipate you would have to do the exterior testing? Do you have any idea on that?
200, 250. I believe that was the last count.
And we do have a location where we're going to demonstrate that as well,
Yes, we do.
right? So if you miss the details about the exterior one, be sure to check on this Facebook page. We're going to do a live Facebook with Rick out and about, where one of his crews is doing one of these exterior tests to give you a visual on that. Tara Thomas Getman, as promised, we are out here once again live with Rick from Waterworks. Tell us again your name and official title.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rick Wilberding. I'm the Assistant General Manager at the Waterloo Water Works.
If you hear a buzz in the background, don't adjust your dial. It's the drone overhead so that we can capture some of this. It's an interesting test. Explain what's happening in this yard in Waterloo.
Yes, this is the part of the stuff that we cannot identify because we can't see it. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to vac a small hole where your water line is. And once we get the hole vacuumed out, we can stick a magnet down the hole and see if it sticks, similar to the test we did in the office. And that'll tell us whether it's galvanized or copper.
And this exterior test, thankfully, is only going to need to be done on a much smaller number of homes. What's your estimate?
I believe that outside the unknowns we have here are around 200.
And of those 200 homes, how are you going to notify them?
Just what we're doing right now. We'll do some flyers when we get the flyers completed. It'll be in the mailer, the bill mailer, and just to give people a heads up. So if you do see if it's in your front yard, don't worry. This is what we're doing. We're just identifying.
And why do we need to do this? Remind us.
The EPA has mandated every city with a population more than 50,000 to identify all the water lines, the water services.
Show us again up close here what this is that they're going to do. It's just a small circle of sod or grass cut out of one's yard. And then through this pipe or this tube, what's happening here?
Basically, this is our power excavator. It's high-powered vacuum cleaner, basically. So what we'll do is we can put a slurry into the dirt, vac down right down to the water service. So then we can look down sometimes if they're not very deep and actually visually see it, or we'll stick a magnet down there to reach down and check to see what the material is. If it sticks to it, it's galvanized. If it doesn't stick to it, it's copper, or in a super rare occasion, it could be lead.
What do we do with these results? How does it impact a homeowner?
It really doesn't. I would just appreciate a phone call, especially the stuff inside, and all we're going to do is update the records.
Yeah, so just to be clear, Rick's not expecting you to do this on your own. Anything exterior, which is only some 200 homes, they're going to do. But what he's talking about is if you do have a home built before 1970 or up to 1970, the homeowner can help you guys out by identifying whether that interior pipe in their basement is galvanized steel or copper.
Yes.
And on his previous Facebook Live interview, he did a great demonstration where he actually showed the difference with some pipes that he put together for us, which was great. So in this situation, the homeowner would be notified how before you show up?
We can go, if we have a bunch on a certain block, we could probably notify. But it's hard to notify everybody because a lot of people are working. There's a lot of people not home. We're in the city right away. What I want to do is,
go ahead.
what I'd like to do is do this and they don't even know we were here.
That's good to know. And so in this case, you would be sending out a flyer. So that's going to be a way to really kind of get the heads up if they obviously missed any other of our communications.
Correct.
And a good reminder too, this is a test mandated from the federal EPA level. EPA, as many of you know, stands for Environmental Protection Agency. And so who, again, is impacted? Communities of a certain size.
Yes, any population of 50,000 and greater.
And again, about 2,000 homes, you think, are going to fall into that up to 1970 or pre-1970 build in Waterloo. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe it's 2,300 of the ones that are in the houses where people can actually help us out by identifying it in their basements.
So he's already made some calls. Some postcards are going to go out. But if you want to help Rick and his team out, if you have one of these older homes, you can go check in your basement, let them know if it's galvanized steel or copper, and then tell us again the number they should call.
The number is 319-232-6280.
Thank you so much.